And this is module 2. Welcome to GE6114. That's your subject code. Don't be confused. And that is Mathematics in the Modern World. And the title of the module is Mathematics for Our World. So these are the 3 objectives, guys, of this today's lesson. So first, apply mathematical concepts in solving societal problems. Number 2, apply mathematics in different organizations for improvement of service. And number 3, make predictions in various fields of endeavor. Okay, so isa-isayin natin kung ano bang ibig sabihin yan. So let's cite an example on how to apply mathematical concepts in solving problems in the society. For example, ang pinaka-common or pinaka-recent na problema siguro sa society or sa Philippines in general is yung pandemic or COVID-19 pandemic. So how do we apply mathematical concepts to gather data and produce procedures, quarantine rules, and guidelines based on statistical data or mathematical concepts? So, ganito yan. They will gather data from the hospitals, from any LGU or local government units with the situation or number of people that is infected with the coronavirus or the COVID-19 virus. Then they will tally it and they will devise a method on how to solve it or how to slow it down. So that is one example of how to solve or how to create a procedural steps to solve societal problems. Okay. Next is apply mathematics in different organizations for improvement of service. For example, nag-order ka sa Shopee. Sample natin halimbawa si Drew. Bumili siya ng laptop sa Shopee. Kasi lag na daw yung laptop siya, so bumili siya ng bago or nag-order siya ng bago. Tapos, nagulat si Drew, pagdating, bato ang dumating, ang laman ng box. So, pwede siyang magreklamo sa Shopee, maglagay siya ng comment, and of course, bigyan niya ng 1 star. And from that, no, yung mga surveys and reviews from the customers like Drew would give the seller an idea on how to improve his service. Of course, no, pwede niya, halimbawa, kung may nagreklamong ang tagal na deliver ng goods or ng product. So from that, no, ilang tao ba ang nagreklamo? So from that, pwede kang makakreate ng steps on how to improve the service at hindi na maulit ang ganong kapalpakan. Okay? Next is make predictions in various fields of endeavor. For example, kung si Daniel, may kumpanyang malaki, milyones ang kinikita. Sasabihin ni Daniel, siya yung CEO and owner. Sabihan niya yung accountant niya at saka yung financial analyst niya. Oh, Juan, can you give me a projection of our profit from 5 years from now if ganito yung performance ng kumpanya? That is giving predictions. Okay, using mathematics, accounting, no, and other forms of mathematical analytics, you can predict the future. Okay, for example, another example of which is weather forecasting. So in 1 week, ano ba ang weather sa Manila? Or sa Quezon City? Or sa Taguig? So for example, sasabihin ng mga cellphones niya, di ba, meron mga weather bulletin or mga weather apps na or widgets na tinatawag dun sa cellphones na ninyo, sasabihin na there is a 90% chance of raining. Ganun. 4 o'clock and beyond ng hapon. So from that, nagpredict siya, nagbigay siya ng forecast, no, based on wind speed, cloud formation. So madaming factors. No, meron siyang idea or meron siyang knowledge about mathematics, no, about that. He predicted this kind of weather that week. So, mabibigyan tayo ng idea kung when tayo magdadala ng payong, ng hood, or when tayong umiwas sa mga lugar na madaling binabaha. Okay? Yeah, statistics and probability. That's one. No? Thank you for your insight. Hindi ko mabasa yung pangalan mo. But thank you for your idea. Okay, next slide. The body of knowledge and practice known as mathematics is derived from the contributions of thinkers through ages and across the globe. So, ibig sabihin, there are mathematicians from the past until now, yung mga modern mathematicians and scientists. No? So, let us remember that math and science work hand in hand to improve and innovate the society that we are living today. 'Di ba? Yung mga tao kasi hindi na ako kontento. Kumbaga, we strive for excellence and we strive for a better world. More convenient, faster service, lahat-lahat, 'di ba? Ang lakas kaya natin magreklamo, 'di ba? So that's why companies tend to adjust with the trend established by people. Kung ano yung needs and wants nila. So that's why we are keeping up with the demand for good service, for good products, and many more. Okay? So we should thank all of the mathematicians from the past and also the scientists who have contributed to the advancement of our technology. Okay? So it gives us a way to understand patterns, to quantify relationships, to predict the future, and also math helps us understand the world, and it works vice versa. And we use the world to understand mathematics, of course. Diba? So an example of understanding the pattern or understanding patterns is how to solve a Rubik's Cube. 'Di ba? Merong mga moves, certain moves yan, how to solve a Rubik's Cube. If you understand that pattern, that this pattern would solve that Rubik's Cube, then that is mathematics. You are understanding a pattern or a logical arrangement of that Rubik's Cube. Another example is chess game, playing chess. So there are certain positions that would give you that would give you a big advantage, and that would win you the game. There are defenses, offense, 'di ba? May offense and defense din yung chess. So when you analyze or understand the pattern, you would be good at chess. Another example is yung buying habits ng mga tao. Anong yung mga gusto nilang bilhin? That is analyzing the pattern. Ano bang pattern or ano ba ang trending ngayon? Yung mga cellphones, yung mga laptops, yung mga ISP or internet service provider. So yun yung mga patok ng mga negosyo ngayon. So if you understand the pattern or the buying patterns of consumers, you can adjust to their needs. At surely your company will progress. Okay? So the world is interconnected in a sense that all of the countries are sharing ideas and statistical data or mathematical concepts or scientific concepts all around the world para ma-improve yung society ng iba't ibang countries, 'di ba? So for example, yung US, sasabihin nila, based on our research from the University of Harvard, we recommend the Philippines to follow stricter rules when it comes to COVID-19 prevention. Sabihin ng president ganun. If they don't follow those restrictions, there's a probability that the increase in transmission of COVID-19 infection would increase dramatically, and it would affect the economy, something like that. Diba? Sasabihin nila yan. So that's why world are interconnected using mathematics, because it shows us the connections and possibilities. How is it possible? Or what is the possibility of you winning the lottery? That's one. What is the possibility of you na sasagutin ni crush? Parang ganun, guys, di ba? Or papansinin ang message ni crush, no? Ano yung posibilidad na mapansin ka ni crush? Parang ganun, di ba? Sa kung gagawa natin yan ng example in real life. Okay? So you young learners, ang pag-asa ng bayan. No? You can put this into your skills into practice. So how would you do it? You solve mathematical problems or math problems for your mind to be trained on difficult situations or difficult problems, no? Para in real life, hindi na kayo easily rattled. So kaya niyo mag-adjust agad, kumbaga. So parang sa larong ML lang yan nag-a-adjust. So para manalo ka sa buhay. 'Di ba? Okay, naniniwala din ako sa kasabihan ni Jose Rizal na ang kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan. Because there comes a time no na kami ay tatanda at magre-retire. So kayong mga kabataan ang naka-assign or you have the responsibility to take over the society. It could be a politician or nasa service ka, maging sundalo, police, or teacher, no? So there comes a time na magre-retire ako, so you can fill in the job that I can't fulfill anymore because I'm retired or old na. So you will take over the society in the future. So guys, dapat mag-aral na mabuti, magsumikap at magdasal for guidance. And you can do it. Kasi naman yung mga kabataan ngayon matatalino, magaganda, gwapo, may talent, and tech savvy. You know lots of application that could help you and make your world easier. So in the future, let us commit ourselves to improve our society. Okay? So these are the sub-branches of mathematics that is used to help solve some problems in the society or in the country. And also it helps us to build structures or to predict phenomena from happening. What would happen if this phenomena occurs? Something like that. So first is algebra. Okay, geometry. So, algebra. So, sa algebra, pwede kang makakreate ng mga equation that would represent any given phenomenon that is occurring in our world. Okay? So, from this example, how quickly water becomes contaminated and gaano kadaming tao daw yung magkakasakit on a yearly basis if they drink that water. So, you can create an equation para ma-picture out ng mga tao all around the world. For example, Africa, nagkakaganyan. So they can picture out how devastating and how big and serious the problem is. 'Di ba? So magkakaroon tayo ng idea kung gaano kadaming tao ang namamatay or naapektuhan sa maruming study of geometry. No? So study of geometry can explain the science behind the architecture and architecture throughout the world. So kung walang idea yung mga civil engineers, 'di ba? Yung gumagawa ng mga daan, mga tulay, mga buildings, if they don't have the slightest idea of how geometry works, for example, yung symmetry, kung gaano kapantay yung isang bagay or isang structure, and yung angles ng mga corners ng mga buildings, ng mga poste, kahit anong pang bagay diyan na may involves architecture and construction, kung wala silang idea is baka makagawa sila ng mga daan na hindi yung lubak-lubak or yung tulay na wavy, tabingi. So, 'di ba? Imbes na maka-create sila ng solusyon, naka-create sila ng another problem. Statistics and probability, kagaya ng sinabi ng classmate nyo kanina, it can estimate, give a percentage or a percentage of chance or how probable would it happen. It can give an estimation, for example, death tolls sa earthquakes, sa mga calamities. And of course, it can give probabilities on, like for example, pumusta ka ng manok, yung online sabong, what is the probability of that manok na manalo? Ano ba, ilan ba, yamado ba yung manok mo o hindi? Parang ganon. And also, another example of statistics and probability, what is the possibility of the Philippines becoming a first world country? Di ba? So that is statistics and probability. There's a lots of applications of statistics and probability. Even the number, the possibility of you graduating is pwede din gamitin yung statistics and probability. Okay. So much for that. Mathematics can also predict profits. Yung sinabi ko kanina. Next is how ideas are spread or information are spread. Now, for example, yung mga guidelines sa COVID-19 awareness. Ano po ba yung mga protocols? Gaano kadaming tao ba ang nakakaalam sa mga protocols na ibinigay ng DOH? Gaano kadami o gaano kalayo umabot yung mga impormasyon na pinakalat ng Department of Health? So, that is how ideas are spread. The speed and the range of people na nakakaalam ng impormasyon. Okay? Next is how previously endangered animals might repopulate. Okay? So, for example, yung Philippine eagle, di ba? If we are familiar with that animal, very familiar because that's our national bird. Yung Philippine eagle, guys, is an endangered species. For example, yung number of Philippine eagles sa Philippine jungle last year is 120. Then this year, bumaba sa 100. So from that figure, nabibigyan ng idea yung government na there's a problem na bakit bumaba yung population ng Philippine eagle. It's either they will breed more Philippine eagle to sustain the population, to repopulate, or establish more stricter rules so that hunters would hesitate to hunt Philippine eagles. Mas malaking penalty, mas mag-hesitate silang mag-hunt. Math is a powerful tool for understanding and global understanding in communication. Using it, students can make sense of the world and solve complex and real problems. So with mathematics, natitrain kang mag-solve ng simpleng problema hanggang sa complex na problema. So magiging familiar ka sa lahat ng sitwasyon kasi natitrain yung utak mo, yung pag-iisip mo, yung spirit mo kung paano mo i-handle ang isang problema kasi train ka, sanay ka sa pressure. That's how powerful mathematics is. Thinking math in a global context offers students a twist on the typical content that makes the math itself more applicable and meaningful for students. So, yung mathematics, guys, will give you an insight of how the world works and how the world uses mathematics to improve, innovate current situation in our society. So, it gives us a twist daw. Twist, di ba? Yung meaning, yung hindi yung inaakala mong ending. Parang ganun. Okay? Let's go with the next slide. So, mathematics for organization. So, yung mathematics, marami siyang application, di ba, guys? So, yung isa dyan is yung mathematics for organization. How do organizations of different fields uses mathematics, no, to improve their organization in terms of service, kahit anong bagay. Basta ma-improve nila yung sarili nilang organisasyon. Example of which is, for example, si Adrian, meron siyang store na nagbebenta siya ng bags and apparel. Tapos, napansin niya na may isang bag na sobrang patok, maraming bumibili, at meron din siyang isang bag na mahina ang benta. So, from that data, statistical data, number of customers who bought the bag na patok and yung isang bag na hindi masyadong nabebenta, gagawa siya ng paraan para ma-boost din yung sales ng isa pa niyang bag or to boost the sale of the store overall. So it's either mag-hire siya ng mga model or gagawa siya ng mga advertisement and post it to Facebook or sa i-advertise niya yung mga products niya through a billboard. So madaming paraan para ma-boost yung sales nila. So nakadepende po yan kung ano ang gusto ng madla. 'Di ba? Okay. That's how mathematics for organization. So another example is in the field of education. So paano ba nakakatulong ang mathematics sa field of education? So for example, gagawa ng survey Gagawa ako ng survey. Gagawa ng survey si sir. Ano bang prefer ng mga estudyante? Is either mayroon bang virtual class o yung modular? Ano bang mas effective during this pandemic? So from that, the number of people who agrees with the virtual class and agrees with the module, i-compile mo yung result, then you analyze based on results kung ano mas prefer nila. Okay? That's how mathematics for organization works. So it uses mathematics to improve the service, to improve sales, to improve the quality of education, the quality of medicine, kahit anong organisasyon guys, basta yun yung nasa society na nagbibigay serbisyo, nagbibigay ng mga produkto, that is mathematics for organization. Another example for mathematics for organization is yung mga endangered animal population. So you can route or plot ang migration route para hindi sila maubos. So parang i-migrate mo yung mga animals na yun para hindi maubos yung population nila. So pwede din yun, no? You are routing, you are plotting it on a map kung saan mas safe yung mga animals na yun. Okay? Let's go with the next slide. Mathematics for prediction. So again, no, na-discuss ko na yung mathematics for prediction. Mathematics for prediction is you are creating a prediction using mathematics. So again, no, ulitin natin yung example ko kanina, yung weather forecasting is one of predicting the weather using mathematics. Another example of which is predicting the trajectory of the storm, kung saan dadaan yung storm when magla-landfall. And of course, gaano kalakas yung storm by studying the atmospheric pressure, the wind speed, yung cloud formation, para makita or mabigay ng isang agency kung gaano ba kalakas ang bagyo at saan dadaan. Okay? Another example for mathematics for prediction is, ang biologist is, pwede nilang i-predict or mga doktor, pwede nilang i-predict kung gaano kabilis tumubo ang isang tumor or gaano kabilis kumakalat ay yung cancer cells sa buong katawan ng isang tao para magkaroon sila ng idea so kung anong treatment ang ifa-follow nila, yung treatment course na i-avail ng patient para gumaling. Parang ganun. Next example, another example is yung mga financial analysts. Yung pinipredict nila yung ups and downs ng isang stock. Or pinipredict nila kung gano'ng kalaking pera ang papasok sa isang kumpanya. That is mathematics for prediction. Okay? An example sa pag-observe ng ups and downs ng mga stocks is, for example, yung Axie cryptocurrency. Diba? Madami nang nahumaling sa Axie. Yung Axie scholarship, kumbaga. So from that, no, for example, sabihin ko sa kaibigan ko, pre, wag muna tayong bumili ng Axie na crypto kasi ang mahal. Hintayin natin maging cheap yung price niya, bili tayo ng marami, tapos pag nagmahal ulit, benta natin para kumita tayo. Parang ganun. You are analyzing kung meron bang benefit sa iyo or return of investment. Okay? Sa lahat siguro ng mga examples ko, no, guys, for mathematics for prediction, siguro ang amusing na or interesting na phenomena na dapat nating i-observe or yung ino-obserbahan, and one of the hardest siguro is human behavior. Kasi yung mga tao kasi very unpredictable. Hindi natin alam kung ano nga yung mga kailangan natin in the future. So pabago-bago tayo ng isip. Depende sa kailangan natin. So that's why there are a lot of mga negosyo. Okay. So how does mathematics do in predicting our own behavior in general? So kahit na napaka-advanced na ng stock market analytics, economics, and political polling or politics and cognitive neuroscience, hindi talaga mapipredict ng mathematics or science with perfect certainty, 100%, yung behavior ng tao. Sobrang hirap. Kasi pabago-bago nga yung mga desisyon ng tao. Kung anong gusto niya, iba na naman yung gusto niya pagkabukas, no? Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na unlimited needs and wants, di ba? Depende sa sitwasyon kasi tayo. That's why maraming mga negosyo ang nagagawa because of our needs. Kasi, for example, di ba hindi naman natin sukat akalain na magkakaroon pala ng pandemic. So, lumakas yung demand for face mask, alcohol, and other sanitary products that would protect us from COVID-19. So, kumbaga, yung mga negosyante, kinagat din nila yung trend. Di ba? So, nagbenta sila, nag-switch sila ng negosyo at nagbenta sila ng mga face mask and face shield, alcohol. Parang ganun. So, though hindi perfect yung pag-predict ng behavior, sa dami naman ng mga organisasyon na nag-offer ng iba't ibang serbisyo, so nako-cover naman lahat ng mga gusto natin. 'Di ba? Sabi nga sa Aralpan, kung naalala nyo, the birth of invention is based on the needs and wants of the people. 'Di ba? So kung ano yung demand natin, for example, yung mga sinaunang tao, sabi nila gusto namin ng device na lumilipad na magsakay ng tao at makapag-travel kami nang hindi naglalayag sa dagat at makapunta sa ibang lugar. So gumawa sila ng eroplano. Another example of which is yung telephone is very parang nasa bahay lang, ang hirap makipag-communicate sa ibang tao through a telephone na nakakabit sa bahay lang namin. Gusto nila ng telephone or device that is wireless and pwede nilang dalhin kahit saan. Pwede nilang tawagan ng kanilang mga pamilya, mga kakilala, all over the world, no? So they invented what? Cell phones. They also invented laptops so they can communicate through Skype, social media. So ang daming na-invento dahil sa walang hanggang katapusang pangangailangan at gusto ng mga tao. Okay? Next is mathematics for control. So how would you control things or phenomenon? For example, climate change and global warming. No? So, di ba, very evident naman yung climate change and global warming. No? As we all know sa mga balita, mas napapadalas yung mga bagyo sa Pilipinas. May mga unusual na mga nangyayari. For example, yung sa Baguio na umulan ng mga ice, 'di ba? Yung hailstorm, no? Kahit summer. So the problem is, how would you use mathematics to prove that climate change and global warming is true? So through statistics and data gathering. So, 'di ba, nakita nila na mas tumataas ang sea level kasi ang init ng mundo, natutunaw yung mga ice caps sa North and South Pole. So from that evidence, napatunayan mo through mathematics and science na may climate change and global warming, how would you produce or produce a solution or procedure to slow it down? Kasi yung climate change and global warming is irreversible, guys. Pag nagsimula yan, wala nang balikan. Is either mawala yung tao for 100 years, siguro yan. Mawawala yung climate change if ever mawala tayo for a century. Siguro, if the government hindi nila makontrol, why not give free education for all? 'Di ba? Makapag-aral yung mga underprivileged na tao. 'Di ba? Kasi kung educated lahat ng kabataan sa buong Pilipinas, they can be globally competitive and they can apply for jobs na needed sa industry. Kung nakapag-aral ang lahat, so pasok sila sa qualifications ng any company. Wala nang mga dependent kasi nakapag-aral lahat. So provide scholarships to those people or sa lahat ng tao sa buong Pilipinas para makapag-aral. Dapat may mga libreng universidad. Para wala tayong excuse na maging dependent sa ating mga parents. 'Di ba? That's one. Give free education. Second, attract foreign investors para makagawa ng mga iba't ibang kumpanya, mga iba't ibang serbisyo para makapag-create ng mga bagong jobs. Diba? Construction, um, services, for example, yung mga front desk, parang ganun. Diba? Especially this pandemic, dapat mag-create ng jobs. And also, hikayatin ng mga foreign investors to invest in the Philippines. Okay? Okay, let's go with the next slide. So, mathematics is indispensable. Okay. Siguro, for me, no, indispensable, yung hindi basta-bastang, hindi mo siya basta-bastang ma-exclude or sasabihin mong hindi mo na siya gagamitin. Necessary siya. Importante. Di ba? Because as it was said here that mathematics have played a major role in the underpinnings of our world. So meaning we have built our society based on mathematical and scientific concepts. So hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na I can live without mathematics. Kahit nga siguro pagbili sa tindahan, may math. So ang hirap siguro no kung hindi ka nakapag or hindi mo gagamitin yung mathematics para mag-survive sa mundong ito. 'Di ba? Kasi ginawa ng mga founding fathers natin, 'di ba? Ginawa ng mga founding fathers natin na we are dependent to mathematics. So hindi tayo makakapagtrabaho siguro kung wala tayong basic knowledge about math. 'Di ba? Kung hindi mo alam yung anong halaga ng pera, for example, hindi mo alam kung sino mas valuable sa 1,000 or 100. So may tendency na maloko ka. 'Di ba? So from that, no, it doesn't for example, sasabihin mo I hate talaga math, hirap-hirap, pero hindi mo talaga maiiwasang gagamit ka talaga nun. 'Di ba? Kasi yung society nga naka-built based on that. So wala kang takas. Kumbaga. Okay? Next is global connections. So what do you mean by that? So how does countries interconnect with each other? Okay? So there are mathematical models based on situations or events, no, that can be presented globally. For example, yung pandemic. So China ang most experienced kasi sa kanila nagsimula. So marami silang data when it comes to COVID-19 prevention, kung gaano ba ka-aggressive yung COVID-19 and all. Diba? So from that, they can explain the complexity and interrelatedness of situations. So kung gaano ba ka-complex, kung gaano ba ka-dangerous yung COVID-19 pandemic. Diba? And they will reflect it in a model kung gaano ba karaming tao ang na-infect, gaano karaming tao ang namamatay. And that's it. So from the data generated on that mathematical model, no, yung mga data na generate kung ilang tao ang namatay, ilang tao ang na-infect, gaano kabilis ba. So you can defend your decisions kung anong side ang papanigan mo if ever. No? So, kailangan ba maging stricter rules para maiwasan yung COVID-19? Mag-i-issue ba ng travel ban? So, from that data, pwede kang mag-create ng desisyon. So, ang Presidente ng Pilipinas or ang DOH mag-decision if they declare lockdowns or travel bans, depende sa data generated or provide ng iba't ibang agency sa buong mundo. And from that, no, they will decide supported by mathematics, of course, no, or statistical data, and they can go and create a decision that is globally accepted. And I think naman siguro lahat ng countries at buong mundo agrees that COVID-19 is indeed a pandemic, and of course very, very harmful sa economy. That's why some of the countries have stricter rules, no, and some of the countries in the world are like lifting up their restrictions kasi okay na ang country nila. 'Di ba? Napapag-iwanan na nga tayo eh. Okay? But then again, di naman tayo nawawala ng pag-asa and we continue to strive, no? And we adjusted siguro sa new normal. Parang sanay na nga tayong mag-mask at mag-face shield. Wala naman tayong choice. 'Di ba? And that's good siguro in a way that Filipinos are really resilient. No, kayang mag-adjust, no? Okay. Let's go in the next slide. Next is problem solving. So from mathematics, no, you will be trained to solve problems, yung mga simulations. And with that, you can create appropriate strategy. Paano mo isa-solve tong equation na to? Ano yung mga step-by-step na mga gagawin para ma-solve yung problem na ito? Then ano yung mga mathematical tools or equations or formulas na gagamitin mo to create procedures and representation to solve the problem. And from that, your teacher can review and prove or check if your answers are valid, or anyone that has an authority to check your work. That is problem solving, diba? So for example, si Juan de la Cruz ay isang scientist, and based sa kanyang research is ganito, ganyan, ganyan yan. Kung halimbawa ako ay isang scientist din at may idea sa problem solving and yung mga mathematical concepts, I can criticize his work. No, yung mga kinuha mong sample size or sample data is unreliable and biased kasi nasa lugar mo lang yan eh. So, kumbaga, pwede mo ma-manipulate yung results mo. Parang ganun. You can prove if someone is right or wrong. Okay? Next is communication. So, let's be honest naman talaga. Or, it is obvious that most of us people are visual learners. So, we are this kind of learner na pag hindi natin nakikita yung bagay is hindi natin agad naiintindihan. Kumbaga, dapat meron babasahin or merong makikitang figure or visual presentation para ma-clear, makuha natin yung idea kung gaano kalaki yung impact ng isang bagay. So for example, among 3,000 teenagers, yung 12 and below. So 12 and below teenagers was interviewed, no? So 12 years old and below, na-interview sila or nakita ng isang group of people na nag-conduct ng study na yung 12 and below are addicted to Mobile Legends. So out of 3,000, 80% yung naglalaro. So from that, no, yung mga figure na provide mo is either you present it through a pie graph, line graph, or yung table lang with percentage, no, with figures, may explain mo sa kanila kung gaano kalaki yung impact ng Mobile Legends or Dota 2 sa kanila if they're addicted to that. Okay? So mas magkakagawa ka ng conclusion sa utak mo or sa mind mo na ganyan pala talaga kalaki yung impact ng game na yun. Okay? So for example, how does Mobile Legends affect the academic performance of our youth today? So, 'di ba, 79% of mobile gamers that is studying through online learning, and it shows that there is an evidence that their grades are tanking down or going down because of playing mobile games, something like that. So it can be presented in many ways in any conventions of mathematics that people would understand. Okay, I think that's it. No, that ends our module 2.